Hello, my name is Declan Mulready from the Audi Academy. Today we're going to take a look at the Audi Q5 and we're going to look at it from the following categories: exterior, interior, safety, performance and technology. And when we talk about technology at Audi, we'd like to break it down into two different categories. The first category is electronics and the second category is engineering. Let's take a look at the exterior of the Audi Q5. When you take a look at the body shell of this car, it has a wonderful combination of sportiness and elegance. Now, some of the design cues here you'll pick up from all Audis. For example, when you look at the greenhouse area of the car, you can see the way it fades down towards the back and the front. This is a typical Audi trademark. If we take a look down here, we can see the dynamic line, aggressive but not too aggressive, and this is very consistent with A4, A6 and so on. But one of the lines that really stand out on the Audi Q5 is the front and rear wheel arches. They bulge out like the original Quattro and it gives the car quite a mean and quite aggressive appearance. But at the same time, when you look at the overall shape of the car, it's very, very elegant. When we move down to the nose of the car, you will see we have the traditional Audi single frame grille. We have LEDs, which in this particular market segment have made a huge statement, and I think it's one of the reasons why the car is actually so popular. Needless to say, we have xenons. Then we move down to the lower part of the car. We have fog lights, and some of you might wonder why we have these large grille openings down here. In certain markets around the world, we offer TDIs in this car, and as a result, we will place the intercoolers in here. Next up, when we take a look at the wheels on the car, we do have many different wheel styles available. This particular car is an S-Line equipped car, and needless to say, it looks that little bit more aggressive or that little bit more sporty. Now we're going to take a look at the Audi Q5 from a safety point of view. One of the important aspects to remember about any Audi is the fact that they are designed and built in Germany. When you get into an accident over there, the chances are that the vehicle is going to be traveling at a much higher speed than it would be here in the US. As a result, the vehicle will be hit multiple times before it actually comes to a stop. So needless to say, the Germans have what most people consider to be the most rigid safety standards in the world. And driving an Audi over here, we get the benefit of that as well, because this car is designed to meet those standards. If you take a look at the most recent award that the Audi Q5 won, which is the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety roof test, this is just one indicator of how well this car is designed and built. Most customers equate the amount of airbags you have with how safe your vehicle is. And as we know, that's definitely not the case. But when we take a look at the Audi Q5, you will see that we have more than our fair share of airbags. Up front, we have a driver's airbag and passenger airbag. We have side seat airbags, and this is to protect this area of the body right here in the event of a side impact. Also, in the event of a side impact, we have what we call Audi side guard that literally runs down the entire side of the vehicle to offer head protection. Next, we have an available rear side airbag as well, and this car is actually equipped with that. But these are really useless if you don't have a very rigid and strong cage that the car is actually built around. And one of the great benefits of any Audi is they're designed and built in Germany to withstand some of the harshest accidents the world will see. Let's face it, when you get into an accident on the Autobahn, chances are that you're not really traveling at 60 or 70 miles an hour. Chances are the speeds are greater than that. And when a car gets into an accident, it's unusual that the car gets hit once and then stops. In fact, the cars usually get hit many, many times. As a result, every trick in the book is pulled out, making sure that Audi customers are some of the safest and most protected customers in the industry. So let's take a look at this rigid cage that I'm talking about regarding the Audi Q5. It starts in the bottom of the A pillar, runs up through the roof here, down the B pillar, down the C pillar, and then eventually off into the C pillar of the car. Needless to say, we have multiple beams that run across the roof in areas like this. And then in addition to that, we have a massive beam which runs through the dashboard, located roughly about here, and it goes straight from A pillar to A pillar. Now, this is just the cocoon that's built around the driver. In addition to that, we have front long members both sides that are designed to crush in such a way that they deflect the energy from the occupants inside the car. In the event of a really massive crash, the engine and transmission will drop and go underneath the car. And these are just some of the things that we have from a protection point of view. Now, one of the areas that any customer or passenger is going to be exposed in the event of an accident is side impact. Unlike the front of the car where we have this massive space to get rid of the energy, When you get into a side impact, we're roughly talking a distance of about this much space to get rid of roughly the same amount of energy. So, with each Audi, we employ multiple beams in each door. We typically have a horizontal beam that runs along the top of both doors. Then in the middle, we use diagonal beams that typically run like this, as they do on the Q5, and then another horizontal beam which runs down here. The same arrangement happens in the back, except the diagonal is now actually running like this. Then on the inside, we have what we call clamshell. This is where the outside of the door overlaps the inside of the door by a large margin. Basically what happens is when this vehicle gets hit, all of these beams start relying on each other, resting on each other, and they rest on the clamshell. So instead of the energy trying to push its way through this door opening, now the energy has no choice but to start moving sideways and away from the occupants on the inside of the car. Now let's take a look at some of the performance aspects of the Audi Q5. Think about it. It's not often you hear SUV and performance used in the same sentence. However, when it comes to the Q5, there's so many different places we can go with performance. If you take a look at the towing aspect of things alone, we have a 4,400 pound towing capacity. And most people think it's the engine that determines how much you can tow. And that's very definitely not the case, because that's with the 4-cylinder and the V6. When it comes to towing, it's all about the brakes and the suspension that the car is equipped with. Needless to say, 4,400 pounds in this class is absolutely class leading. It's almost 1,000 pounds more than anybody else in the class. But more importantly, when you're towing, one of the great things that goes along with this vehicle is the fact that yes, you do have the suspension, yes, you do have the brakes, but the stability and the fact that we have a factory hitch that makes this car super when you're towing larger loads. Next up, let's talk about the engines. We have two wonderful engines available in the Audi Q5. We have the 4-cylinder 2-litre TFSI motor, and that engine produces 211 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. What's amazing about this engine is the fact that it produces all that torque in an incredibly low 1500 RPM. Now, I think perception has it that a 4-cylinder in this size of car is probably not going to do it. But if you look at the amount of torque this engine produces, it competes with almost every V6 in the market. So it has plenty of get up and go. One of the other great benefits that goes along with this engine is absolutely fantastic gas mileage as well. Next up, we have the 3.2-litre FSI V6. And this engine produces a wonderful 270 horsepower and 243 pound-feet of torque at a very low 3000 RPM. Now, needless to say, this engine has a wonderful sound, produces good gas mileage, and has great drivability across the entire range. But one of the things that makes these engines unique is the fact that we couple them to an 8-speed Tiptronic transmission. So if performance is what it's all about, the 0 to 60 on both of these cars is absolutely fantastic. However, if it's all about towing, both of these engines, because of this transmission, have absolutely fantastic torque in every gear, absolutely where they need it. Next up, if it's about fuel economy, this 8-speed Tiptronic transmission delivers on this count as well. You take these engines and this transmission, put them together, you've got one of the most drivable SUVs in the segment. So far we've taken a look at towing, we've taken a look at engines and transmissions. Now what I'd like to do is move along and take a look at the braking system, the suspension system, the quattro system, and a little bit of ESP as well. When you take a look at the braking system on the Q5, it's actually quite advanced. We have large rotors up front that are ventilated for cooling, and down back we have the same arrangement except they're solid. Up front we have large multi-piston calipers that are designed to bring this vehicle to a stop as quick as they can. However, we have a single piston arrangement down back. On top of that, we also have something called Audi Brake Assist, and this is a wonderful feature. Most people, when they get into a panic stop, they stand on the brakes, and as soon as they feel the ABS activate, they feel this odd sensation in their foot, so they start to lift off the brakes. With Brake Assist, as somebody is moving their foot up off the brakes, it keeps the braking pressure applied at 100% until one of two things happen. One, the car comes to a stop, or two, the person lifts their foot completely off the brake. Bottom line, maximum deceleration, or they've got the choice of taking their foot off the brakes and steering around whatever obstacle that's in front of them. Next up, I want to take a look at the suspension system in the car. We use what we call a 5-link suspension system arrangement in the front and a multi-link arrangement in the rear. Now, the benefits of both of these suspension systems is that they're designed to keep the tire absolutely flat on the road. I know this seems like an odd thing. I know you would think that most suspension systems are designed to do just that, but that's not the case. If you look at what most of our competition is using, it's a suspension arrangement called McPherson strut. It's a good system. One of the major benefits of it, however, is the fact that it's economical to manufacture and install. And its one downside is the fact that when you're going through a corner, it will sacrifice the outside edge of the tire. In other words, it's not keeping the tire entirely flat on the ground as you go through a corner or a panic situation. So this is a much more sophisticated arrangement. It also gives you a better ride, and needless to say, we have more safety built in as a result. We also have something built into the front and rear suspension called anti-dive and anti-squat geometry. And the benefit of that is when you get into a braking situation, instead of the car standing up like this, now the car will hunker down on all four corners like this. Gives the driver more confidence and, needless to say, puts more grip on the rear of the car as well, just in case there's an avoidance maneuver coming up. When you're accelerating hard, instead of the car nose lifting like this, now what will happen is all four wheels hunker down like this. We have more weight squeezed onto the tires. As a result, we have more grip and better acceleration. One of those small things that makes a big difference in confidence and feel. Next up, we have the ESP system. And on this vehicle, we change it a little bit. It also has built-in anti-rollover protection. With an SUV, one of the worries of most customers is that there is the possibility of rolling the vehicle over because it has a higher center of gravity. Well, because of this program, that situation has been greatly reduced with the Audi Q5, and this is also a system that we have built into the Q7 as well. Another unique feature that we've got on the Q5 is if you load the roof rack to full capacity, which is 220 pounds, when you're using the Audi roof rack system, it automatically changes the settings on the ESP. So now you've got a vehicle set up to take the weight that's actually on the roof, and needless to say, the characteristics of the ESP system have changed entirely, suited exactly for a vehicle that's more top heavy than it would be without that equipment on top. Next up, we have Quattro. Well, as I've mentioned in previous videos, Quattro is dynamic. Yes, we have 40% of the drive going to the front on this vehicle, 60% of the drive going to the back. However, as soon as you start moving, that 40-60 is continuously moving back and forth. If you move the steering wheel as little as this much, we are sending power backwards and forwards to exactly where it's needed the most. Unfortunately, most people think Quattro is a technology that's used best when there's snow on the ground. And that's definitely not the case. In fact, most all-wheel drive systems will do well when there's snow on the ground. When it starts to rain, this is where we begin to separate the really good all-wheel drive systems from the mediocre systems. However, one of the major advantages that Quattro has is in the dry weather. It is, in my opinion, the only all-wheel drive system that gives you more grip in dry weather. And think about that. Yes, that increases the performance of the vehicle, but more importantly, particularly with an SUV, this increases the safety of the vehicle, and I think that's a feature that will appeal to most of your customers. Now let's take a look at the interior of the Audi Q5. A lot of people confuse features with luxury. Yes, you can have inexpensive cars that have tons and tons and tons of features. However, as soon as you sit in the driver's seat, you find out that they are not luxury cars. And let's be honest here, luxury very much is about the details. It's about exquisite fit and finish, it's about hand-sewn leather, it's about clear instrumentation, details, details, details. But for a minute, let's take a look at some of the features that we have in here. First off, we have a panoramic sunroof. Great feature during good weather. More importantly, we have a panoramic sunroof that's almost a foot bigger than any of the competition in this class. We have different seat configurations depending on exactly how it is that you like to drive. We have more aggressive seats and we have more comfortable seats. It's entirely up to you. And by the way, both of them do a very good job at each one of those categories. The seats are also available as heated seats. Needless to say, if you live in the snow belt, this is a wonderful feature to have during the summer. Another nice feature for anybody that spends a lot of time in the car, particularly at night, is the LED lighting accents. It lights up the center console in a very, very soft red light. You don't have to turn on the interior lights to find what it is that you're looking for that you might have on the center stack or in one of the cup holders. Next up, the thermo cooled and heated cup holder. I never thought I would see the day that features like this would come along, but I will say you get used to it very, very quickly. It's one of those nice things during winter where you can actually keep your cup of tea warm, and during summer you can keep your Red Bull cold. Additionally, when you take a look in the back of the Audi Q5, you have ample seating room for adults or children, particularly when it comes to seat height. Next, when it comes to usability, one of the reasons why people buy this class of car is for weekend projects and weekend activities. Now the Q5 with the seats up has more than ample trunk space. In fact, it's one of the larger trunks in the class. However, if you decide that you need more space, we can drop down the 60/40 seat, 60% of it, 40% of it, or 100% of it. And now you've opened the entire back of the car up. Basically, you've got yourself a box van in the rear. Now let's take a look at the Audi Q5 from a technology point of view. I like to break that into two different categories. On one side we have the electronics, and needless to say this car has some incredible equipment. On the other side we have the raw engineering, what makes the car feel the way it does, drive the way it does, and perform the way it does, either be that with raw performance figures or if the vehicle gets into an accident from a safety point of view. But let's take a look at some of the electronics that we have available. First of all, if you look at the center of the car, one of the most striking features is the MMI system. And you can control all systems in this car, whatever it is you need to do, it is controllable from here. But the beauty of it is, it's a very simple system, and if you are not somebody that enjoys playing with electronics, you don't need to touch it at all. You can control the volume on your steering wheel. We have a mode button here so you can go in and select the phone book from your phone and so on. We can keep it really, really simple. You take a look higher on the dashboard, you'll see that we have a screen. And in this screen we can show things like movies from the hard drive, or we can use the navigation system. One of the beauties of the navigation system in this car is the fact that it comes with 3G MMI. Bottom line is that you've got a wonderful over sky view of exactly the surroundings that you're in, and this also comes with real-time traffic. So for cities like LA and New York, this can make a huge difference in your commuting times. I've already mentioned the Bang & Olufsen sound system that's available with this car, but one of the nice things that goes with this is the fact that HD radio is now standard in the Q5 for 2011. So it raises the listening pleasure of that customer. Next, when you take a look at the panoramic sunroof, here we have a feature that if somebody really wanted a convertible but they need the versatility of an SUV, well, here you get the best of both worlds. And then next up we have engine and transmission choices. We have two different engines, the 2-litre and the 3.2-litre V6, but both of those are coupled with the 8-speed transmission, which is coupled to Quattro. Needless to say, you get a lot of driving pleasure from both of them. In addition to the engine and transmission options that you've got, we have adaptive cruise control. Now the adaptive cruise is a wonderful feature that will help slow down or speed up the car based on traffic surrounding it. One of the great advances that comes with this is a feature called Audi Brake Guard. And literally what it does, even if the adaptive cruise control is turned off, and let's be honest here, we all get distracted in cars from time to time. So once this feature notices you're getting a little too close to the car in front of you, it will give you an audible bing, and it will also give a very quick jab of the brakes to let you know, hey, you should be focusing on the road that's in front of you. Now, another feature that helps you concentrate on the road and not on distractions is the Audi voice recognition system. With this, you can give the navigation system instructions of where it is you want to go, and the next thing you can do is make phone calls directly using the voice recognition system. Again, lets you focus on your task of driving the car.